Hello students, I am Dr. Krishnoda Parveen, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, GMC, Betia. Welcome back. Today I am going to discuss about the internal structure of the cerebrum.
Internal structure of cerebrum. Cerebrum consists of outer grey matter, inner white matter and large group of nuclei which are embedded in the white matter are known as basal ganglia. These three features lie in internal structure of the cerebrum. See in this diagram. See here, this outer cortex which is about 2 to 3 millimeter in thickness. In cortex lies uh, cell body of the neurons. Here is the white matter internally. In white matter, here embedded the grey matter or nuclei known as basal ganglia. Basal ganglia is a misnomer. It should be known as basal nuclei, but it is commonly used as basal ganglia. Now I am going to discuss about each part separately. Grey matter. In any plane of section through the forebrain, the cerebral cortex is evident as a thin layer of neural tissue that covers the entire cerebrum. See here, this is thin layer of the cortex which is lie in the entire cerebrum. The cortex of the cerebrum comprises of two types, allocortex and isocortex. The allocortex or archicortex are found predominantly in the limbic system. I told you later what is limbic system. And this limbic system contains fewer layers of the neurons than the isocortex. The cerebrum is composed of 6 layers of neurons. Histologically we can see 6 layers in cortex of the cerebrum, but few cortex have fewer layers known as allocortex, and the cortex which have all the 6 layers are known as isocortex or neocortex. Neocortex is more commonly found in the most of the cerebral hemisphere and contains 6 layers. The juxta-allocortex or known as mesocortex form the transition between allo and isocortex. It contains 3 to 6 layers and is found in such regions as cingulate gyrus and insula. I shown you in the previous lecture cingulate gyrus and insula. These two parts containing transition between 3 to 6 layers. The cerebral cortex, three main types of the neurons arranged in layered structure. There are three main types of the nerve cells: pyramidal cell, stellate neurons and fusiform neurons. Stellate neurons shaped like teepee with an apical dendrite reaching from the upper end towards the cortical surface. The basilar dendrites extending horizontally from the cell body. Stellate cell is star-shaped with dendrite extending all the direction, and fusiform neurons found in the deeper layer with a large dendrite that ascend towards the surface of the cortex. The axon of pyramidal and fusiform cell form the projection and association fibers, and large layer of pyramidal neurons projecting their axon to the spinal cord and the brainstem. A smaller layer, 2 and 3rd layer pyramidal cell sending association axon to the other cortical area, and fusiform neurons giving rise to the corticothalamic projection. I discuss all these things later. Stellate neurons are interneuron whose axons remain within the cortex.
In this table, I am trying to discuss about the layers of the cortex. First is molecular layer, which consists of axon and dendrites. Second is the external granular layer. Here densely packed stellate cells and small pyramidal cells are formed. Third layer is external pyramidal layers. Here loosely packed stellate and medium sized pyramidal cells. Here size of pyramidal cells increases. This second and third layer give rise to the association fibers and commissural fibers. Fourth layer is internal granular layer, densely packed stellate cells only. Here this is sensory cortex. Here radiation come from the thalamus, thalamocortical tracts. Fifth is the internal pyramidal cells. Fifth is internal pyramidal. Largely pyramidal cells having large pyramidal cells form the projection fibers such as corticospinal and corticonuclear tracts. Sixth is the multiple sized pyramidal cells, small or large pyramidal cells which loosely packed stellate cells. It gives rise to corticothalamic fibers.
Now I am going to discuss about white matter of the cerebrum. White matter of the cerebral hemisphere. The central core of the white matter that form the substance of the cerebrum is composed of myelinated nerve fibers of varying size and their supporting neuroglia. These fibers may be classified into three categories: association fiber, commissural fiber, and projection fibers. What are association fibers? Also known as arcuate fibers, are confined to their own hemisphere in which they connect different parts of the cortex. Association fibers lie in one hemisphere. It connects different parts of the cortical areas. Commissural fibers, also known as transverse fibers, it interconnect right and left cerebral hemisphere. It is transversely arranged, which connect the two hemispheres together. Projection fibers are restricted to the single hemisphere and connect the cerebral cortex to the lower level, such as corpus striatum, diencephalon, brainstem, and spinal cord. These are known as projection fibers, such as corticospinal or corticonuclear fibers. Now, association fiber. Association fibers are also known as arcuate fiber, are restricted to the single hemisphere, and again see here, these are the association fiber, which these fibers arises from second and third layer of the cortex, and it will form second and third layer of the cortex, and here it is formed the association fibers which connect different cortical areas together. It is divided into two categories: short arcuate fibers and long arcuate fibers. See here, long arcuate fibers, these are the short arcuate fibers. See, these are the short arcuate fibers which interconnect the adjacent gyrus. These are the long arcuate fibers, it connect non-adjacent gyrus. They are axons of pyramidal cells and fusiform cells. These all are formed by the axons of pyramidal and fusiform cells. See, this is the short association fiber which connect adjacent gyrus. You can see in this diagram also. This is the photo of the original vein. Here is the short association fibers. Association fiber, the long association fibers. See, here is the long association fibers. These are of following types: uncinate fasciculus, cingulum, superior longitudinal fasciculus, inferior longitudinal fasciculus, and fronto-occipital fasciculus. What is uncinate fasciculus, cingulum, superior longitudinal fasciculus, inferior longitudinal fasciculus, and fronto-occipital fasciculus? I am going to discuss each of these one by one. See here, this is uncinate fasciculus. It connects the motor speech area and orbital cortex of the frontal lobe with the cortex of the temporal pole by hooking around the stem of the lateral sulcus. Here this Broca's speech area, here is the orbital area of the frontal lobe, and it arches over the lateral sulcus to reaches the frontal pole. This is uncinate fasciculus. This is known as uncinate fasciculus. See here, this is uncinate fasciculus. Now superior longitudinal bundle or fasciculus. Fasciculus means bundle of nerve fibers. It is the longest association bundle which connect the frontal lobe to the occipital and temporal lobe. See, this is superior longitudinal bundle. This is superior longitudinal bundle. This is inferior longitudinal bundle. It connects the visual area of the occipital lobe with the temporal lobe. It connects the visual area of the occipital lobe with the temporal lobe. Inferior longitudinal bundle. Superior longitudinal bundle, it connects frontal lobe to the occipital lobe and temporal lobe. Okay, fronto-occipital bundle, it commences in the frontal pole and run backward through radiating into the occipital and temporal. Fronto-occipital similar course that of superior longitudinal fasciculus, but it lies deep to the superior longitudinal bundle and it's separated from by the fiber of the corona radiata. Fronto-occipital bundle lies deep to the superior longitudinal bundle. These are the white matters. These are association fibers which connect different cortex in the same hemisphere. Cingulum are the thick bundle of the nerve occupying the cingulate and parahippocampal gyrus. It extends from the paraterminal gyrus to the uncus, forming almost a circle like a girdle. That's why it is known as cingulum. See, it arises from the paraterminal gyrus to the uncus, paraterminal gyrus, subcallosal gyrus, then cingulate gyrus and parahippocampal gyrus to the uncus. This fiber is known as cingulum. Commissural fibers. White matter having three types of fiber: association fiber, then commissural fibers. Commissural fibers or transverse fibers interconnect the right and left cerebral hemisphere. There are 5 bundles of commissural fibers: the corpus callosum, the anterior commissure, the posterior commissure, havenular commissure and hippocampal commissure. These are transverse fibers which connect two hemispheres together. See, here is the anterior commissure. This part is known as lamina terminalis. Here it starts at the lamina terminalis, upper part immediately in front of the. This is fornix. This part is known as fornix. This is fornix and this is anterior commissure. This part is known as lamina terminalis. In front of the anterior column, it arises an interventricular foramen. The anterior commissure connects right and left amygdala and olfactory bulb, several cortical regions of the two temporal lobes. Anterior commissure consisting of two parts, an anterior part and posterior part. Larger posterior neocortical component which interconnect the lower and anterior part of the temporal lobe. See, this is the larger posterior part which interconnect the temporal lobes. A smaller anterior part is paleocortical component which interconnect the olfactory region, that is olfactory bulb, olfactory tubercle of the two hemispheres. It connects the olfactory bulb and olfactory tract, olfactory tubercle of the two hemispheres. This is anterior commissure. It lies here in front of the paraterminal gyrus and in front of the column of the fornix. This white matter is known as fornix. The column of fornix lie in here anterior commissure lie. Posterior commissure. Posterior commissure connect right and left pretractal region of the midbrain and related cell groups to the mesenchyphera. The posterior commissure is a slender bundle of white fiber which crosses the midline through inferior lamina of the stalk of the pineal gland. See here, this is pineal gland, a inferior stalk forming the posterior commissure. Each interconnects superior colliculi, pretactal and interstitial nuclei of the two sides. Habenular commissure. The habenular commissure is a slender bundle of white fibers which crosses the midline through the superior lamina of the stalk. Here is the pineal gland. It has two lamina. Here is the inferior lamina. Here is the superior lamina. Superior lamina is known as habenular commissures. It interconnects the habenular nuclei of the two sides. Habenular nuclei comprises a small group of nuclei that are part of epithalamus of the diencephalon and is located just above the thalamus. Here is the habenular nuclei. This is thalamus, here is epithalamus. Now, corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the large bundle of myelinated and non-myelinated fiber, the great white commissure that crosses the longitudinal cerebral fissure and interconnect the hemisphere. Most part of the cerebral cortex are connected with their counterpart in the opposite hemisphere by axons that run in the corpus callosum. See in this diagram, this is corpus callosum. These are the fiber which connect the corresponding hemispheres. Corpus callosum is the largest of the interhemispheric commissure and is largely responsible for coordinating the activity of the two cerebral hemispheres. It coordinates the activity of the two cerebral hemispheres. See, here is rostrum, this is genu, this is body and this is splenium. From anterior to the anterior commissure, the mass passes upward and forward as rostrum. It now takes the sharp bend backward as genu. This is backward genu known as genu, which continued as the body, and posterior most part is known as rounded splenium. Corpus callosum can be seen by separating the two hemispheres, and its cut surface is exposed in the midline sagittal section through the brain. Its corpus callosum is related inferiorly with the, here is the septum pellucidum. This part is known as fornix. It is inferior surface of the corpus callosum is related with the fornix and septum pellucidum. The superior part is covered with the thin layer of grey matter is known as indusium gracium. See here. This is dentate gyrus which continues as gyrus fasciolaris, which is continued as indusium gracium. See, this is the dentate. Here is the dentate gyrus which continued as a gyrus fasciolaris, which continued above the corpus callosum as thin layer of the grey matter known as indusium gracium. These all form the limbic systems. Over the this gyrus, indusium gyrus is longitudinal stria, that is middle and lateral longitudinal stria are present over the indusium gracium. Commissural fibers. The fiber of corpus callosum extend to all part of the cerebral cortex. In horizontal section, the fiber of the genu are seen arching forward on each side of the frontal cortex known as forceps minor. See, here is the forceps minor. Similarly, the fiber of massive splenium passes curved backwards and symmetrically to the occipital cortex known as forceps major. Fiber of corpus callosum is spreading out to the cortex on the lateral surface of the hemisphere. This passes over the anterior. See, this is the ventricle, lateral ventricle, having anterior horn, the body, inferior horn and posterior horn. These fibers of the corpus callosum passes over the anterior horn and the body of the lateral ventricle. They form the roof of this anterior horn and body of the lateral ventricle. As they turn down into the temporal lobe, they form the lateral boundary of the inferior and posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. These fibers are known as tapetum. Here is forceps minor, here is forceps major, and this is tapetum. Function of corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is largely responsible for interhemispheric transfer of information, which is essential for bilateral responses and in learning process. However, its congenital absence or surgical division doesn't produce any change in the personality or intelligence, and patient remains completely unnoticed of any definite neurological disorder in day-to-day life. Only a special test of tactile and visual system will reveal any abnormality. See, split brain syndrome occur in due to division of the surgical division of corpus callosum or congenital absent. This cerebral hemisphere become isolated and patient respond as if he or she has two separate brains, a condition known as split brain syndrome. Lesion of anterior corpus callosum. When blindfolded, a split brain patient may not be able to name a familiar object that is held in the left hand, because information for the sense of touch is relayed from left side of the body to the right hemisphere, but Broca's motor speech area is more prominent on the left side of the hemisphere, which right side of hemisphere has a weak language center. So the naming of the object which held in the left hand is not done. This disease is known as anomia. Whereas lesion in the posterior corpus callosum result in alexia. Alexia means inability to speak the written word. If from the left visual field, inability to speak written word from the left visual field. Same features left side, from the left visual field it passes to the right hemisphere. The right hemisphere having weak language center, so the patient cannot speak the written word. Although patient is able to name the object when it is held in the right hand, because sensation from right hand passes to the left hemisphere where Broca's speech area is more prominent, so the patient is able to name the object. This is known as split brain syndrome. Anomia means doesn't name the stimuli when held in left hand. Alexia in the left visual field, hybrid face. The patient answer man but point to the woman. See, this is the hippocampal commissure or commissure of the fornix. This is fornix. Deep to the ependymal layer covering the ventricular surface of the hippocampal formation, there is a fine layer of white matter. Here, this is hippocampal formation. I told later on what is hippocampal formation. On the ventral surface, the ependymal surface overlaying the ventricle, there is the white matter known as alveus, which alveus composed of a bundle of myelinated axons, most of which to the pyramidal cells of the hippocampal formation. These axons gather to become the fimbria. Here is it become the fimbria, which again become to the inferior to the corpus callosum as subsplenial area. Each hippocampus proceed at the crus of the fornix. This is crus of crura of the fornix. Here one crura, here is another crura. These two crura interconnect each other by fibers known as commissure of the fornix. This crura united as the body of the fornix, which again passes anteriorly and turn inferiorly, and here again divide into the two columns known as column of the fornix. Anterior to the commissure of the fornix, the two choroida approaches one another and unite in the midline to become the body of the fornix. The body of the fornix course anteriorly following the inferior edge of the septum pellucidum at the level of the, see, here is septum pellucidum, inferior edge of the septum pellucidum anterior follow the inferior edge of the at the level of the interventricular foramen and anterior commissure. Fornix become arched, proceeding inferiorly and posteriorly, diverging again into the divide into the two columns. As each column turns inferiorly to each side, it divides into the lateral wall of the third ventricle, then enter the mammillary body of the hypothalamus. At the level of anterior commissure, the fornix separated into pre-commissural part that lie anterior to the anterior commissure and post-commissural part that lie posterior to the anterior commissure. The pre-commissural fibers take their origin primarily from the pyramidal cells of the hippocampus and project to the septal area and basal forebrains. The post-commissural fibers emerges from the subiculum and then enter the hypothalamus, where the majority of fiber projects primarily into the mammary nucleus. See here, this is the hippocampal formation. It is the cortex which buried inside the beneath the this is parahippocampal gyrus. This hippocampal formation buried inside the parahippocampal gyrus. In this diagram you can see here is the dentate gyrus. Hippocampal formation having three parts: hippocampus proper, subiculum and dentate gyrus. See in this diagram, here is the hippocampus proper. The subiculum is connecting link between the hippocampus and parahippocampal gyrus. This is dentate gyrus. This hippocampus on its ventricular surface, the white matter emerges known as alveus. The alveus continued as the fimbria, fimbria as the crus of fornix, fornix to crura form the hippocampal commissure and unite as the body of the fornix below the corpus callosum. Here it turned backward and divided into the at the interventricular foramen. It divides into column again. The anterior column passes in front of the anterior commissure and end in the subcallosal gyrus or paraterminal gyrus. And posterior, the part posterior to the anterior fornix end in the mammillary body of the hypothalamus. See, here is the mammillary body. Here is the amygdala. This is amygdala. This is hippocampal formation. The most anterior part of the hippocampal formation, hippocampus, is known as pes hippocampi. It is the part of the limbic system. All are the part of the limbic system. From the uncus, this elevated part is known as uncus. Here is parahippocampal gyrus. This part is known as isthmus. Then cingulate gyrus. Here is subcallosal gyrus. Here is paraterminal gyrus. Anterior perforated substance. All are known as limbic lobe. This hippocampal formation, dentate gyrus and this gyrus fasciolaris, then indusium grycium over the corpus callosum are known as limbic system. These all are known as limbic system. It is associated with emotion and memory. See here, this is hippocampal formation. The most anterior part is known as pes hippocampi. This cortex is known as hippocampus because it resembles like seahorse. See here, it is seahorse. It just resembles like seahorse. The fornix is the efferent fibers of this hippocampal formation. See, this is fornix. Here is the hippocampal formation. Here is alveus, here is fimbria, this is crus of fornix, this is commissure fibers, body of fornix, again divided into column. Here is the, so transverse fiber is anterior fornix. The some part divided in front of the fornix, some are behind the fornix. The precommissural fibers end in the septal nuclei, which is related to the sense of smell, and some parts posterior to the commissure, anterior commissure, end into the mammillary body of the hypothalamus. That's all. In next class I will discuss about projection fibers. Thank you.